Hello everyone, I am Susan Abugrara, a researcher at the Libyan Department of Antiquities in Tripoli, and I am pleased to be able to contribute to ASOR's 2022 conference. In this presentation, I will talk on behalf of the rest of the team, also composed by Farial Sharfuddin, Head of the Technical Office, and Fatma Baghni, Director of the Research Department. Today, I will briefly talk about the case study of the Cartographic Archive of Tripoli as an example of safeguarding cultural heritage during an armed conflict. Following the 2011 uprising in Libya, social and political upheaval posed an immediate threat to Libya's heritage. The Cartographic Archive of the Libyan Department is just one example of how local heritage professionals, with the support of international partners, were able to safeguard this crucial documentary heritage during an armed conflict. The Cartographic Archive is located within the Sarai al-Hamra, or Red Castle, in the heart of the Libyan capital, and also headquarters of the Libyan Department of Antiquities. It was officially founded during the Italian colonial period with the institution of the Superintendency for Archaeological Studies, passing under the Department of Antiquities after Libya declared its independence in 1951. This long continuity of life allowed the archive to accumulate a considerable corpus of documents. The archive acted as a focal point for the numerous discoveries done by Italian scholars as early as 1912, when the first excavation was carried out around the Roman arch of Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus in Tripoli. The lack of sophisticated excavation techniques and absence of archaeological reports make these documents especially important for the early discoveries, as they often represent the only evidence available to us. Today, the archive holds more than 10,000 maps, drawings, and reports covering archaeological activity throughout the country. The collection is an essential starting point for any archaeological research in Libya, as it holds the only evidence of sites that have been long obliterated by aggressive urban expansion, climate change, and deliberate destruction, especially in the suburbs of the main cities. During these uncertain times in Libya, fieldwork is limited, if not impossible, in certain cases. The Department of Antiquities therefore has put a lot of effort in the attempt to protect the archaeological heritage, and the documents of the Cartographic Archive have proved to be a crucial tool in the process of risk assessment of the sites. In 2014, the outbreak of a violent conflict posed a further threat to the country's archaeological heritage. The Department of Antiquities received many direct threats of destruction, to which it responded with the closure of all public museums and archives throughout the country, most of which are still inaccessible to this day. While archaeological collections were transferred to safe storage rooms, the fragile nature of historical archives made necessary the implementation of a protocol to safeguard the documentary heritage in situ. A series of preliminary steps were taken before starting the project. These included the training of the archive team by UNESCO specialists, an initial assessment by a World Bank representative regarding the status of all the department's archives and archaeological library, also the beginning of a parallel project at the Photographic Archive funded by the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation and the University of Berlin. The beginning of a collaboration with the Cultural Association of MEDA based in Rome that provided scientific support during the analysis of the maps. Despite the difficult conditions and deteriorating security, we saw this as an opportunity to not only safeguard the documentary collection from the ongoing armed conflict, but also to set a long-term goal to digitize it and ultimately make it accessible to a larger audience without damaging the original copies. The first step of the project was to implement necessary conservation practices, such as the replacement of the wooden open closets with aluminum cabinets that were protected by glass sliding doors that were placed there around the 1990s. An initial cleaning of the environment and the documents themselves was necessary as it not only posed a threat to the documents but also to the health of the members of the team. In certain severe cases, emergency restorations were carried out to secure the most fragile maps. The following step was the reorganization of all the documents and the setting up of an inventory system until then lacking. Creating an inventory was also crucial for the protection of the archive in case of theft. This was a delicate process as many documents had been misplaced through time and vital information about them could be lost, especially in the case of unknown sites. A geographical division of the maps was agreed upon. We then proceeded to establish a workflow that would enable us to perform multiple simultaneous tasks to avoid damaging the original copies by repeatedly opening them. These tasks included cleaning, data extraction and analysis, conservation assessment, minor restoration when needed, and finally scanning. The third stage of the project was the digitization of the documentary corpus. In 2014, a severe economic crisis that followed a violent armed conflict heavily affected the funds available to the Department of Antiquities to both fund the project and its staff. Our work therefore came to almost a complete halt. Thanks to the generous funds of local and international partners, however, we were able to buy the necessary equipment and continue our work. A crucial step in this project was the attempt to catalog and extract all valuable data from these documents to be able to create a digital database. This also allowed us to continue our data analysis from remote during the numerous times we were not able to reach our offices due to armed clashes. We have currently cataloged more than 70% of the documents at the archive and are in the process of setting up the database. A further aim of the team was to spread awareness about the protection and conservation of the documentary archives throughout Libya. In the past years, we have trained Libyan heritage professionals at the department and other institutions on essential conservation practices. An example is our collaboration with the Central Historical Archive in Tripoli, where we applied our conservation and management knowledge on the collection of documents regarding the Italian Archaeological Superintendency and the Department of Antiquities until the 1990s. During our project at the Central Historical Archive, we were able to target the main conservation issues, such as creating a suitable environment for the collection using acid-free boxes and removal of any plastic envelopes. During our work, we were also able to train employees at the archive with whom we have kept an ongoing collaboration. In conclusion, the future aims of this ongoing project are the setting up of a comprehensive database that will merge with the photographic and administrative archives of the Libyan Department of Antiquities to create a point of reference for any archaeological research in Libya. Through this, we aim to make the archives more accessible to both local and international researchers. As we gained more awareness about the dire state of paper conservation in Libya, we also aim to establish the first paper restoration laboratory. As we're planning on inaugurating it later this year, this laboratory will hopefully become a point of reference for paper conservation nationwide, both for public and private collections. Finally, the training of local professionals in correct conservation practices remains a pivotal point in our work and the conservation of our documentary heritage. Thank you for your attention.